cannot and will not change anyone, and neither should you. When someone shows you who they are, you better believe them. Let's talk about it. And you want to know of something that really grinds my gears? The women that are mean girls with backhanded comments, gossip about their friends, their frenemies in real life, which is like, we're too old for that, so why is that even a thing? Hey girl, hey guy, it's Ty, and welcome back to another episode of Ty's Adulting Handbook. On this channel, we discuss all things practical life skills, personal development, and things you wish somebody would have taught you in order to prepare for this thing called life. Okay, and I'll go ahead and give you an example of something that I dealt with someone that I met here. I was actually going to save this story time for something that I was working on putting together about how it's been a struggle to make friends as an adult here in Houston. But anyway, so we'll call her Precious, right? So I met Precious through work, and I thought she was cool. She was the only other woman that was kind of working. She didn't work with my team, but she was like more of a liaison, and I would observe her, see her. I'm like, okay, I think I would initiate us hanging out. And I did that, and we became cool. Like, it turned into, her birthday came up, I got her something. My birthday came up, she got me something, good energy. But as we continued to hang out more, I put together like some kind of double date, and with myself, my boyfriend, and his coworker and her, we went to a bowling alley. She was just so negative, so complaining, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, man, I'm gonna have a talk with her about this, because it's like, it's so rude of you and so disrespectful of you. And honestly, once again, when people show you who they are, you better believe it. Now, there were instances where as we were getting to know each other, she did tell me, sometimes I complain with my friends, and my friends are like, Precious, you don't have to be like that and stuff. And she did tell me this stuff, right? But I'm more of a no nonsense friend. Like, I'm going to communicate it with you, and how it makes you look and how you make me feel, and how that energy isn't good to be around. At this point, we're no longer friends or acquaintances, because it honestly 10x'd from there, where as we hung out more and more, it just got worse. And then I said enough is enough, and I never circled around to communicate with her about how bad her attitude was with complaining. It's like, girl, I barely even know you, so you showing me the worst version of yourself. Nobody wants to be around negativity. If you feel as though you encounter someone that you feel like could be a valuable friend or person in your life, I mean, it's nothing wrong with having one conversation with them and to get your point across. It's nothing wrong with articulating something properly without it being all rah and aggressive and things like that, right? So if you feel like the person is of value, have that one conversation with them and see how it goes. But once again, we're not here to change anyone, and we shouldn't. So the next story that I'm actually going to get into is actually an instance when I was dating someone for a while, and it didn't last long at all. So we will call this person Jeremy. So Jeremy and I met through mutual friends in a night of hanging out, something like that. Upon us hanging out, spending more and more time, Jeremy was so negative, just negative, and had like a group of friends where, honestly, I'm sorry, but they were all giving bums. And when I say this, like, Jeremy was a project manager, nice car, making a certain income, but the friends that Jeremy had were always like asking for money. So with me saying that Jeremy's friends were bums, now, mind you, it's not my intention to be mean, right? But it was just such a mismatch in their friendship, where Jeremy was doing well for himself, a certain career, a certain income, doing well. There was an instance where Jeremy and I were on the phone, and Jeremy was like, yeah, I'm getting off work. And Jeremy walks through his door while he's on the phone with me, and all I hear next is conversations of them passing weed, like, back and forth. And I was just like, wait. In my mind, through my observing and listening, you mean to tell me you've been at work, you come home, and you have your friends sitting in your house, and they're just already in there smoking weed and passing you the blunt as you walk through the door? And I was just like, you know what? I didn't really understand it. And they were always asking Jeremy for money, and Jeremy didn't have enough of a backbone to say no. And I probed for a second just to get more of an understanding, to ask, like, so your friends, they always ask you for money? And Jeremy's like, yeah. And I was like, do they ever give it back? And it was like, And it was just none of it made any sense. And it was just like a reoccurring thing where it's like Jeremy didn't have a sense of awareness about where he was in life and the friend group, and that people need to get up and have some grit and hustle and work ethic about themselves to get their lives together and not be bumming it around, right? And it was just so crazy just to see that. And Jeremy was very non-confrontational. Just because the friends would ask for something, Jeremy would just give in. I'm like, you don't have any kind of like thought process to ask them why they don't have any money, or what's going on with your job process, or, you know, things of that nature. So it was just very interesting to experience. And this is not my intent to be malicious at all. I just thought it was like so different and so odd. But once again, that didn't last, and it couldn't last, because it's like the questions that I'm asking, it was just not a red flag in Jeremy's mind that these things were an issue and they were a problem. So it turns into me trying to help someone become a wiser, more assertive, less passive person, where it's like it would start to pull for me. And eventually I threw my hands up, because there were more things that went on, and I said, you know what, this is such a mismatch and we're not aligned in that way. So that's how that ended. And it's funny thinking back on it now. I would remember Jeremy saying to me like, oh, Ty, you're just so positive. Oh, I wish I was positive like that. And I'm like, you can be positive like that. Instead of doing this, why don't you work on implementing that and doing that? But once again, when they show you who they are, you better believe it, right? It was a lot of negativity mixed with being a very non-confrontational person, being very passive, being a pushover. And it's just like, it was such a mismatch, and the relationship would have never worked anyway, because it would have been so much that I would have had to try to address with this person and fix with this person. Whereas like at this point in life, you don't want to mix yourself up in something where you're going to feel so overwhelmed by their negativity and their way of thinking. You want to run into someone that's a lot more evenly yoked. For the women that are watching this, when you're out and about and you come across a nice looking guy, and you know you're single, you would hope that he's single, and you all start to date, and here comes maybe the love bombing, like, yeah, he's probably saying everything that you're saying. You know, maybe you both want to be married, you both want to have kids and things like that. Honestly, we look for consistency, right? So a lot of times people can tell you one thing, but it will show up in their actions, right? So if this person is telling you, yeah, I only want to be with you, I want to marry you, have kids with you, and things like that. But imagine months down the line, you see that they're texting and talking to other women, right? They may be telling you the same thing. He's maybe telling them the same thing that he's been telling you, right? Maybe in the beginning, he was always bringing you flowers and being attentive and doing those things, right? Maybe after a while, you start to catch him in lies and this and that and this and that, but he's saying, I love you, I want to be with you. But these are the things that he's doing. When someone shows you who they are, you better believe it. Understand, a lot of times people do have a lot of work, internal work that they have to work on in order to be a better version of themselves. But remember, it's not our job to fix anyone, right? We will encounter certain people in the world and relationships and things of that nature. We're going to have the best intention. But then after spending some time with this person and speaking with this person, you see some red flags, or y'all know that's like my word of the day, but you start to see some red flags, or you starting to see some things that are pretty much a mismatch, right? They say these things, but then they show you these other things. And you want to know of something that really grinds my gears? The women that are mean girls with backhanded comments, gossip about their friends, their frenemies in real life, which is like, we're too old for that. So why is that even a thing? That kind of energy is not welcome here. keep it away. Keep it away, right? There's a big difference between someone wanting to vent about one of their friends versus someone being maliciously nasty, right? Body shaming their friend, talking about their friend's finances, their friend's personal business, and things that they went through. Those are the things that are just a big no. They're a big red flag. And if I were you, I would run for the hills, right? It's no one's job to change someone's attitude. And you may ask yourself, well, Ty, what are some characteristics, or how will I know that this is even a valuable friend, right? Somebody that if I have an issue with them, I should be able to pull them to the side. I mean, you'll know through conversation, right? If you have conversations with them, which I'm sure you had to take that time to get to know them for some time. When you speak with them, does the conversation flow, right? Do they ask you things about yourself and not only speak about themselves? Does that feel like a good exchange of energy for you, right? Do they have their career in order, their income in order? Are they working on more goals and aspirations for themselves, right? Do they have a good living situation? Is this somebody that you can find yourself, you meeting their family, or they're meeting your family, or y'all can travel together? It's all these things that you are going to come across within knowing them, but sometimes people blatantly do things that they kind of can't come back from, and I've experienced those friendships as well. But if you do feel like they are a person of value, just pull them to the side and talk with them, and just prepare your wording of what you're going to say. That way they don't get defensive or anything like that, because overall we all have things that we have to work on, right? If someone came to me and they said, Ty, can I talk to you for a second? And they would express to me maybe something I said or did, as long as they're not rude, I would receive the message that they're giving me, and I will let them know that typically if I've done something wrong, let them know. I will let them know, well, that wasn't my intention, and thank you for bringing that awareness to me, and I will work on it and be more mindful. That's how two adults will have a conversation. So I hope that this was helpful. So to go ahead and wrap this video up, I want to go ahead and reiterate, be wary of the company that you keep. Observe them. If you feel like they are a person of value that you would like to continuously have in your life, pull them to the side and have that one conversation with them. If they shrug their shoulders, they don't care, they get defensive, and they're not willing to be aware and work on themselves, then they were never somebody that was meant to be in your circle in the first place, okay? If you talk with them and it goes in a positive direction, okay, awesome. There you go, a friendship that you can build on top of. But thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.